Most people associate politics with noise, debate, conflict, public positioning. Elite families see politics differently. They see it as infrastructure. Infrastructure doesn't need applause. It needs access. That's why elite families don't attach themselves to public movements. Movements create volatility. Volatility attracts opposition. Stability comes from neutrality. Neutrality allows access to remain open regardless of who is in power. That access is maintained quietly, through long-standing relationships, through shared boards, through advisory councils. Not places that make headlines, but places where language is drafted and priorities are framed. This is where influence actually forms. Most laws don't begin as laws. They begin as ideas. Ideas discussed in private rooms, refined by experts, reviewed by committees. Elite families understand this process. They don't try to control outcomes directly. They influence inputs. Inputs shape direction long before results are visible. That's why elite families invest heavily in institutions that produce ideas. Universities shape research. Think tanks shape policy options. Foundations shape focus. By funding these environments, elite families don't need to give instructions. The system moves on its own. Most people think influence requires alignment with a specific party. Elite families avoid alignment. Alignment creates dependency. Dependency creates vulnerability. Instead, they maintain relationships across political boundaries. They don't commit to candidates. They commit to continuity. This allows them to remain relevant no matter who wins. Relevance is more valuable than loyalty. Another thing most people misunderstand is visibility. Public influence attracts scrutiny. Scrutiny invites resistance. Quiet influence attracts cooperation. When influence is invisible, it feels neutral. And neutrality lowers defenses. Elite families understand human psychology. People resist pressure. They accept guidance. That's why influence is framed as expertise, not interest. Advice carries less suspicion than demands. Expert panels sound neutral. Advisory roles sound responsible. But these positions shape decisions long before votes occur. Most people don't see this because it doesn't feel political. There are no speeches, no rallies, no slogans, just conversations. Conversations repeated over time become assumptions. Assumptions become policy. This is why elite families prioritize patience. Influence isn't rushed. It accumulates. Years of consistency outweigh moments of intensity. Most people want impact now. Elite families want direction over decades. Another advantage elite families hold is discretion. They rarely comment publicly on political issues. Silence preserves flexibility. Once a position is declared, movement becomes difficult. Silence allows adaptation. This is critical during transitions. Administrations change. Public opinion shifts. Priorities realign. Elite families remain stable because they avoid public commitment. They don't defend policies. They survive them. Most people chase proximity to politicians. Elite families chase proximity to process. Politicians come and go. Processes remain. Committees outlast elections. Institutions outlast individuals. That's where access matters. This is also why elite families invest in social credibility. They appear reasonable, measured, responsible. This lowers resistance when access is requested. Influence that feels deserved faces less scrutiny. And scrutiny is the enemy of power. Elite families don't use force. They use familiarity. When decision-makers recognize names, trust feels natural. And trust opens doors without conflict. Most people assume power must be asserted. Elite families know power works best when it's assumed. Assumed power doesn't need defense. It doesn't provoke reaction. It simply operates. That's why elite influence rarely collapses during political turmoil. It isn't attached to outcomes. It's attached to systems. Systems adapt. Public movements burn out. institutions endure. Elite families choose institutions, not because they are secretive, but because they are patient. This patience allows influence to outlive controversy. By the time attention shifts, the structure remains intact. Most people never notice this process because it doesn't look like power. There's no confrontation, no conflict, just continuity. And continuity is the highest form of control.